Hello, everyone. Welcome. Good evening, Lagos. Good evening, Nigeria, wherever you are listening from. My name is Kalu Aja, and we're just having a spaces today to talk about pensions, right? The retirement savings account in Nigeria, the pension scheme in Nigeria, questions, clarifications, what can we do better? What are we not using? How can we make it better? All those questions that to do with your own personal finance. We've brought in the Pension Fund Operators Association, right? So your pension fund administrators have an organization, right? And that organization is called the PenOp, the Pension Fund Operators. So we brought the CEO in just so that we could ask him questions, right? Understand the scheme better, and then possibly, get a better sense of it. So that's why we're here today. We're not going to take a lot of time. I'm just going to wait. If I see him, then I will add him as a speaker, and then we can start. But I could just give you, okay, I see him here. I'm going to invite him to speak. His name, of course, is Mr. Oguchi Aguda. He's the CEO of the Pension Operators. And in this role, he leads the efforts of the Nigerian pension industry in engaging regulators, the government, media, and folks like you and I, right? So I want to just know about pensions, just to find out what's going on and all that. But let me just start off with this. Before this spaces started, I had done a poll. It's not scientific, of course, right? I just did a poll and I asked folks on Twitter, when you retire, what is your plan to get income when you retire, right? And I get 4 options. Private savings, these are like savings out apart from your pension scheme savings, right? Then, of course, your RSA, your retirement savings account with a PFA, that was also an option. Of course, my children or my partner, also an option, a very, very popular option in Nigeria, And of course, the Lord, right? I'm just trying to be funny there, but you'll be surprised how many people believe that they can get by just by being good and all that. So 4 options. My private savings, 33%. So again, not scientific. We had about 621 votes. 33% chose my private savings. 40% chose my RSA with a PFA. 3%, I was very surprised about this. 3% chose my children and partner. So I'm a bit happy that just 3% chose that, right? And of course, the one that surprised me, the Lord will provide 24%, right? Folks are saying, a quarter of the respondents are essentially saying, well, we'll see how it goes. I have faith. We'll get by. So that's why I want to talk about pensions, perhaps have that discussion today with Mr. Oguchi. So good day, sir. Welcome to the Spaces with Kalu. You can unmute, do a 1-sentence or line introduction, sir, and then we'll take it from there. How are you doing today? How is Lagos? So Abuja, where are you at, sir?
I'm in Lagos at the moment.
Nice.
And this is my first time on Twitter Space, I believe.
Seriously? I should get a bell. Let me get a bell and ring. Yeah, just to welcome you in, right? Yeah, so we do Twitter Spaces, and my Spaces is only personal finance, money, the economy, investing. So you are in a room for people that are interested in that topic. And when we had other spaces to do with investing, we always talk about retirement. Some people say it doesn't work. Some people say it works. Last week or so, I was asking people like, listen, you've got to take a calculation of that retirement savings account. You have to ask yourself, is it going to be enough for you when you retire? And if it's not going to be enough for you, you have to do an additional voluntary contribution, right? Because you want to make sure that you have enough to take you either as a program withdrawal, as an annuity. But we're getting too far ahead of ourselves. Let me get you to introduce yourself, sir, and then we'll take it from there. I have a lot of questions for you.
Yeah, thanks. So my name is Oguchi Aguda. I'm leading the efforts of the pension industry in engaging various stakeholders, and the stakeholders we have are many. The media is one stakeholder, financial markets, because we do a lot of investments, the regulators, the National Assembly, governments, because pensions are highly regulated, so we engage a lot with the regulators. And then with the RSA holders, because they're a very, very important stakeholder. because they are the ones for whom pensions was created, and just for Nigerians in general, to find out how we can deepen pensions and to find out how pensions can have a great effect on the nation in terms of development in general. So that's me in a nutshell. I've got a pension. My wife always says she'll bet her pension. You know, when you're talking to someone, I said, I bet my pension that Nigeria is going to win today's match, for instance. And then she'll say, okay, she doesn't have much pension, but she can bet her husband's pension.
What?
But yeah, so I honestly think, if I was talking to someone today, and I said, I think the Pension Act is one of the most important pieces of legislation in Nigeria's history. Just being able to ensure that pensions are managed privately and that people can access their pensions under the contributory pension scheme and the micropension schemes without having to know anyone, to bribe anyone, as was done in the past. So yeah, I'm passionate about ensuring that people retire with dignity, ensure that the system works well, and ensures that the pension assets can positively affect Nigeria. So that's me in a nutshell. There's a lot more about me, but I'll leave that till other engagements.
Excellent. Let me just say you understate that the impact of the pension scheme. In my view, the Pension Reform Act that was passed in Nigeria, I believe it's in 2004, has been the most fundamental and impactful piece of legislation since the return to democracy from 1999. I think it's just amazing. And let me just give a background for maybe those that don't understand what we're talking about. Prior to 2004, you had folks that were literally sleeping in Ikoyi in front of the Army Pension Office. So they would sleep there for years to get a pension. The pension deficit alone back then was 2.5 trillion. We're talking about 2004 and going backwards. So trillion then, and it's not trillion now. That was the pension deficit. So when you want to do a privatization, say, of Nigerian railways, of Nigerian airways, you can't, because you're owing a huge pension liability. So from 2004, the Fola Adeola committee passed this. They basically created this framework. They pushed it through, and it got passed into law, the Pension Reform Act, right? Right now in Nigeria, I'm going to ask Gochi to give us the exact figures, right? But we have gone from about negative 2.5 trillion to I think about 13 trillion in assets under management. Now, those assets are everywhere, in bonds, in mutual funds, in equity, in development fund. And Nigerians, for the first time, now have a long-term savings account, deferred taxation, secured by biometrics, opened in your personal name. It can never be taken away from you. I'm not sure there has been a recorded case, right, where money has been stolen from the scheme itself, because it's all invested. You put the money, it's invested. So let me just ask you this question, sir. Just give us the numbers as we stand today. How many have enrolled in this scheme, and what's the total assets under management right now as we have it?
Yes, so the number of RSA holders and pension fund holders is about 9.5 million Nigerians. And as at the end of, I believe, the first quarter in 2022 was about 13.6 trillion naira in assets.
Great.
Like you said, that's a big cry from the 2.5 trillion deficits that we had at 2004.
Correct.
But I don't like to focus so much on the number, right? The number is good. It's good for people to know how it has grown in terms of the assets under management. What I like to focus on is what you are talking about in terms of the fact that everybody has an individual RSA account, is biometric, is safe. You know, that is so important, very, very important. That, you know, I want people to live here with Yeah, so those are the numbers.
So let's talk about it then. So let's say I'm a 25-year-old guy. I just got a job now. Let's say my dad owns a restaurant. I just got a job in that restaurant. I'm like a waiter, but I'm in school, but I work for my dad in the restaurant. What do I do? Can you walk me through what would happen with my dad, myself, my salary? Just give me a scenario. How can I get into this pension scheme? What is it all about? Just for folks listening and have really not understood what's going on, walk me through, please.
Yes, so there are a couple of ways. So number one is your dad has a restaurant, and hopefully, the money he spent on you and going to school you're gonna come with innovation. Maybe you're on Twitter trying to sell for him, and business is doing good, and you guys hire people to help you, whether waiters, servers, and things like that. You're growing, so about 10 people. Your dad is hiring about 10 people. The law says, if you're in Nigeria and you're a company with more than 3 employees, you should actually enroll them in the mandatory contributory pension scheme. And what that will happen is that, so at the end of every month, if they're paying you 60,000 or 160,000, so your dad, who's your employer, is paying you and the other 9 staff, pays your salary, then you should pay your tax, and then you should pay your pension. So they'll calculate your pension, and some money goes to your own account. That's your salary for the month, and then it goes to your PFA of your choice. So you can choose which PFA.
So I choose the PFA I want to.
Yes, you choose.
How many PFAs are there?
There are 20 PFAs now.
Okay.
20. And you can get the information on our website, www.penop.com.ng. All the PFAs and contact details, whichever one you decide to choose. That's for the mandatory CPS.
Okay.
Going to the micro pension,
yes,
which is sort of a self-sponsored pension plan. We like to call it self-sponsored because you might be the one that owns the company. So maybe you're 25-year-old, you worked with your dad for a while, and maybe you've seen that this food business is cool and you want to branch out. So you say, Daddy, I want to start my own, so maybe you want to do deliveries, online deliveries, and you're making lots of money. You can decide for your own personality to say, I know I'm making money and doing well, I'm balling, but I don't know what's going to happen 10 years down, 20 years down, thinking of getting married. So maybe I can begin to put some money away for my pensions, and you can decide to open your own micro pension plan. That's a micro pension plan. Again, with any of the 20 PFAs, you can choose, walk up to them, let them know you want to start a micro pension plan. You don't have to be formally employed. With a
interesting.
Or, you can be, and we've started putting some things that maybe you're a blogger, maybe you are an architect, you run your own show, you have contracts, you have building, maybe you're an influencer, you're a YouTuber, you're a vlogger. I mean, because the various vocations, they're now different. I remember when my son was graduating from primary school, and we went for their graduation party, and none of his classmates or him wanted to be a lawyer or a doctor. He wants to be a footballer. His friend wants to be a chef. Another one wants to be a YouTuber, wants to be a blogger. So these people are independent, and we need to cater for that independent. The growing, we begin to see that in Nigeria. People are beginning to say, okay, I don't want to work for a small employer, or I can make as more or even more than formal employment. But that means they might have been excluded from pensions. But we are saying, no, you don't have to be excluded from pension. If you're running your own shop, if you're a trader, if you're in the informal sector, you can still have a pension. And that is where the micro pension plan comes in. Again, engage your PFA, and they can open a micro pension account for you.
So let me just be clear, right? So if I work for my dad, I can open a pension. My dad can open an account for me. I can choose out of the 20, and then my dad pays my pension contribution. That's the normal contributory pension scheme. But you're saying I could, on my own, go to any of the 20 pension fund administrators and open an account, just like a bank account. And then I would just pay like a normal, I would just have my own pension. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that is.
So I know in the contributory scheme that you pay like your housing, your transportation, 18%, 10%. What about this micro pension? How does it work? What do I contribute? Is it also regulated by law, or I can pay what I like?
So this one is up to you. The beauty of the micro pension, flexible. You can say, okay, if I'm making 100,000, if I'm making 200,000, I can pay 20,000 out of that every month, or I can pay 10,000. It doesn't even have to be monthly. You can also say, I'm going to every week. Maybe I do gigs, or I do shows every Friday, and I get paid every Monday. So every Monday I'm going to pay. So it's up to you. You can decide how much you want to pay, when you want to pay. Unlike the formal scheme, where structured. This is not structured. You can decide when. So it's at your own convenience.
And to be clear, this also has those tax advantages. So if I contributed to this micro pension scheme, it's still tax deferred and all that.
Yes, you have tax. So the taxes you would have paid on that money, once you put it in the pension scheme, is tax exempt. So there's a tax advantage that comes with that.
Oh, excellent. Okay, so this is not really a pension scheme per se. It's like a savings scheme that has a tax advantage, more or less. If I'm a young guy and I want to save, I can put the money in the bank, or I can just put the money in my retirement savings account. I can withdraw the money in the bank. It's like my emergency fund. I can go to the bank and take the money out. Can I take the money out from my micro pension? Can I take it out? Is it possible before I retire? I'm not going to retire in the next 25 years, but I need to buy a home. I need to pay for something in about 3 weeks. Is it possible to get that money?
Yes. So like I said, you can determine when and how much you want to contribute. Your contributions are demarcated into the contingent and the retirement benefit. For instance, if it's 100,000, 40% of that is contingent, meaning that you can withdraw at will. You can withdraw when, right? So there's a portion that you don't have to wait until when you're retired. You can withdraw at will.
So who sets this for this contingent and regulatory? Do I set it up myself, or it's by law?
It's a guideline issued by the regulator.
Okay.
And they were setting up the micro pension product. But then it's automatic. It's there. The pension fund can allow you to withdraw up to 40% of your balance at any point in time after you've kept it for, I think, 3 months or so. You can withdraw 40% of your balance.
And we always talking on this space about investing. One thing that always comes up is called compounding. Where I put in a naira, the naira earns me interest. Then the interest adds back to my principal, and my new principal plus interest becomes my new principal going forward. So 2 questions. Number 1, do you guys pay interest, or do I get a return on the money I invest with the pension fund administrators via this micro pension scheme? Do I get a return? And could you tell me maybe how much? I know you can tell me how much, but maybe in the past, what was the return?
Yeah, so compounding, like you say, is really the magic of investments. So for simplified sake, if you invest 100,000 and you're earning 10% on that in a year, so at the end of the year, your 100,000 becomes 110. But next year, your principal becomes 110. And if you're earning 10% of that, that's 11. And that adds to it again, and it comes next year. So the beauty is that all your income is added to your principal and then reinvested again. So that causes exponential growth. As a matter of fact, for the contributory pension scheme, those that have started it from 2006, they'll realize that virtually everyone, your investment income is actually more than your contribution income. So what will happen is after a number of years, same with the micro pension, the amount that you are contributing to it will be less than the interest that it's making because it would have compounded, right? So that's one level to the question. The second level is that PenCom has demarcated micropension as a fund in itself. So all the pension fund managers, they have various funds. So those that are working in the CPS, there are 3 different funds for them. And then those that are retired, there's a different fund for them. And for micropension, there's also a different fund for micropension.
Okay.
And the reason why they make a different fund is so that they can determine how they will invest, because all of the different funds, their investment horizon, their investment strategy might not be the same. So with micropension fund, once you place it with the PFA, they will invest it just the way they invest the other ones. They will invest in government bonds, they will invest in corporate debt, invest in money market, they will invest in ordinary shares, even though the percentage might be a bit different. But it's so that it's going to grow, because the essence of pensions generally and savings, investment is so that it grows.
Okay.
So it's not the case with them. When you come back, your 100,000 won't be 100,000 again.
So excellent. So just let me summarize. So I have this account in Nigeria. This is the micro pension account with the pension fund administrators. This account can compound. So it compounds automatically. If I put money in there and I don't touch it, every time I get paid interest, it rolls over on its own automatically. That's one. Number 2, I have my tax advantages. So any funds I contribute to the micro pensions account, I take it off my income. So I don't pay tax on those contributions when I make them. It reduces my taxable income. So that's the number 2 benefit right there. Number 3 benefit is I can withdraw, like you said, the 40%, the contingent. So if I use this account, this micro pension account as my emergency fund, I could say I'm going to save 100,000. I know 40,000 there is my emergency fund. And if I run into issues, I can go get it out from the account.
Very correct. Brilliant.
Is there a COT? Do you guys charge COT?
No, we don't charge COT.
So because I'm looking for something that I'm asking myself, if I was a Nigerian guy or Nigerian, why wouldn't I have this account? Because if I leave money in the bank, why don't I just leave money in the micro pension account? That's why I'm trying to look for something that will make. Why aren't people understanding this point you're making, that this is a far superior way really to just save and to also invest? So you can set up, for instance, maybe a direct deposit from your bank or from your employer or from your account to the micro pension scheme. And you just know in the back of your head that 40% is the emergency fund for you. It's right there. And if you do nothing, it's compounded. You don't have to go to the bank to roll over. It's just automatic, and it gives you a tax advantage. So why does everyone on this space have a micro pension account? Now, question, can I have a micro pension account and also have like the normal account, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I think to your first point in terms of why aren't people jumping on it, it makes a lot of sense. And I think, we're also looking internally, and we're trying to spread the word, just spread the gospel of micropension. Because the question is, why aren't more people getting on? Because it does make sense, So I guess it was just launched recently, about 2-3 years ago.
Okay.
It's really catching on.
Yeah.
I believe it will catch fire with these benefits, and then just to hear from listeners also what other things could be done better and things like that.
Gotcha.
With that to whether you can have the micro pension and the contributory pension, no.
Mm-hmm.
So the PIN is unique. So it's a unique PIN. So again, like you said, biometric. There's only one Carlo Aja. I hope identity theft. So it's unique. You cannot have both of them at the same time.
Okay, so what's the? I'm trying to just clarify. Like, I have an RSA account. I do. So I can have a micro pension account. Who is the micro pension account really set out for? Is there a specific demographic? Because I was going to open up that account like tomorrow if I could. But what's the demo? Yeah, because it makes a lot of sense for me. No COT, I can withdraw the money. It's got tax advantage and it compounds. And why wouldn't I open it? But who are you targeting in terms of the demographics? Who is PenCom looking at to open this account?
Yeah, so there's some feedback. Number one, that when people hear micro, they think it's for people at the bottom of the pyramid, and that's not necessarily true. It's just that when we say micro pension, it's the same all over the world, which just means a self-sponsored pension plan. So it's targeted at people who are self-sponsored, i.e., you don't work in a formal employment, you don't have contracts, or you are a business person and you employ less than 3 people. So you can look at maybe lawyers. Some lawyers, they have 1 lawyer and 2 associates, and they're making lots of money. You could have people in the entertainment space. They're having gigs. They're paid lots of money. They don't work in formal employment.
Yeah.
We have founders of companies. Vloggers, Instagrammers, bloggers, just the new economy.
The self-employed folks, those young people that are not really, that make a lot of money, don't have an employer that can do that 18% and all that, right? That's more like who they're looking at.
Yeah, and also informal sector. So of course, Nigeria has a large informal sector. People working in agriculture, people, traders, retail traders. There are lots of construction workers.
Yeah,
we have many pyramid, because one other thing about the micro pension to add is that there's a benefit for the individual, but there's also a benefit for the country. So if you look at the number of people who are out in the formal sector in Nigeria, so the informal sector is larger than the formal sector by about 3 times or more. So think about 20 years' time, if these tens of millions of people have stopped earning and they don't have capacity to sing or do what they do or go to the construction site, how are they going to live? So it's going to go back to the Lord, their children, and if they don't have personal savings, then it falls back on the economy. It falls back on the country, because then they become liabilities. So micropension is also a way to ensure that many Nigerians retire in their old age, they're able to live with dignity, and they don't have to fall back on their children. I mean, there's some narrative about children of nowadays. I know there are none of them here who, they'll tell their mom, or their dad, this is my life. You had the chance, don't come and bother me because I'm doing my own bit. I want to travel. I shouldn't fund your medical bills. And, so people are like that. So if you're in that position, what do you do? So which is why the micro pension is also, if I will say, a case of national security, because we need to get as many people in the formal sector saving for the future, because it will come. The future will come out. There'll come a time where you won't be able to earn as much as you used to earn. So instead of rely on someone, your friends, urgent 2K and things like that, you save and be in control.
Gotcha. I think it makes so much sense. And I like the way it's targeted at this new economy. We know the GDP of Nigeria, services, the fast growing area. And to talk about services, the telecom guys, the entertainment. This is brand new economy that we didn't envisage maybe 5-10 years ago. And now we're allowing these folks to save for tomorrow, not just in the bank account. So I think it's just marvelous. You guys have to really just push this out there if you really want to do this, because it makes so much sense. I want to do it tomorrow. I'm scared you're telling me I can't do it, but I really want to get this up and going. So guys, just to reset the room, we're talking with PenOp. That's the Nigerian Pension Fund Operators Association of Nigeria. I have Uguchi here with us, the CEO, and we're talking about pensions in Nigeria. And we just got into this micro pension, and I can't seem to get my pause off it. If you want to ask a question, I have a lot of questions for you, though, that folks had asked earlier. If you want to speak out a question, please request, and I will add you. Let me just go and ask you a few questions if you don't mind, Uguchi. Someone's asking real quick, yeah? Number one, are the funds invested? I know you have answered it, but I want to just maybe give a direct answer. It says, if I put money into the micro pension scheme, is it invested more or less? So it's asking that question. I'll let you answer now and I'll give you the rest, yeah.
Yeah, it's invested. Immediately you put it in, it's already invested. Once they get it, they start investing it, because for fund managers and investment managers, they can't idle. It counts against them. It doesn't augur well for you. So their job, fund management administrators, once it comes, they already have the buckets they want to put it in, whether it's bonds, whether it's corporate debt, whether it's bank placements and things like that. So yes, it is invested. It's not just life value, it's invested.
Gotcha. Then so second question is asking is in terms of how can I track? Is it like it's going to be how do I know how much I have in the account? If I put in 10 naira, 50 naira, 100,000, how can I track this?
Yeah, great. So the guideline says they must send you quarterly statements. So get quarterly statements, that's one. And they also get text messages just to track how much you put in. And then all of the PFAs, they've got their mobile apps that can also track with. So yeah, there are a couple of ways to not just a black hole once you invest. It's really PenCom, the regulator, says they must send you quarterly statements.
Yeah.
And then a couple of them have even gone further, and you can access through electronic means, through their apps and other channels. Yes, you can.
Great. Tobe, I have Tobe on the spaces. Tobe, if you want to ask a question, kindly unmute and go ahead. The CEO is here and he can give you an answer. Go for it, Tobe.
Thank you very much, Carlo. Hi, Mr. Agada. Thank you for agreeing to speak on this space. I have two questions. Well, they're all connected anyway. One, I'm in the academia and I transitioned from the private sector to the academic space, and I tried to move my to change my employers with my PFA. But ever since I did that, that's several years ago now. About 6-7 years now, nothing has been remitted to that account. Several meetings, gone to the office several times, and I keep hearing the same thing, that nothing has been remitted. So it's hanging now for about 7 years now. And recently we heard that we now moved from the traditional PFA to the university PFA, the new PenCom now. I tried to do the switch and they said, no, you can't do that until you sort out the remittance from your employer to the previous PFA before you now transfer. Now, this is kind of like a very, very difficult situation. From your experience, what would you have to say about this?
Okay, Tobe, are you still with me?
Yeah, did you get my question, please?
Yeah, I wanted to ask some other leading questions. So,
all right.
You move from a private sector to the academia, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the academia that you moved to, have they been paying your pensions?
Nothing has been remitted.
Okay, I wanted to know, when you say not, whose fault is it? Is it that the new organization you are with are not remitting?
Yeah, I mean, from the pension office within the university, nothing has been remitted from the federal government, which is actually the principal employer.
Oh, okay. So the federal government, they say, have not remitted because they're the ones that, but your salary has been coming, obviously.
Of course, yeah, for all those years. But the pension, the remittance, both the government contribution and my contribution, which was deducted from the salary, nothing has been remitted into the RSA.
From what I understand, is this, that in 2004 they assumed everybody retired, so there's like a bond. So someone like Tobe now, first of all, he has that 2004 cash, but I believe from 2004 till today they haven't made those remittances. If Tobe was to retire today, I believe the PFA he submits his paperwork to will have to get the funds from PenCom, i.e. from the employer, before they will actually process his final benefits. That's if he was retiring and leaving the scheme completely. But in this case, he's transferring to a different PFA. I think the same process should actually follow. The problem is that it's the federal government. That's, I think, the problem that Tobe is having. Because when they pay a salary, they're supposed to pay the salary corresponding with the housing transport allowance and make that pension contribution. They haven't done it. That's the problem, Tobe. They haven't done it. So this is the thing. If you were yeah, go for it.
Individualize, and maybe we need to, because it's not a generic problem. It's an outlier. It's not.
Yeah.
Okay. Because typically the pensions with the CPS are smooth. So, are you above the age of retirement when you move to the academia?
No. I mean, all this are happening post 2014 or 2004 when the new pension scheme. I still have a couple of decades before retirement, so I'm still younger, and that's why I'm really concerned about this. I mean, when I get to that stage, because nothing is dropping right now. And I'm really concerned if this continues and someone kind of shoves under the carpet and it doesn't exist anymore.
Well, it's individual anybody else.
Well, yeah, but so it turns out I'm not alone on this. There are a couple of guys that joined a couple of years ago. They're also facing the same thing. But those that have been in the system for a long time still get, their contribution remitted into the RSA. But for those that joined in the past 5-7 years, I cannot speak for my university. I can't speak for other universities, but this is a trend that I've observed. So I was thinking if this has anything to do with the PFA not being able to receive the money from the federal government or just the federal government itself.
Yeah, it's the federal government. So what I will advise quickly is, I reckon you guys would have come together, maybe set up a pressure group, and from the university, write, yes, and be able to give, because if it's the federal government, the thing about the federal government is with salaries, they typically don't hold salaries or pensions. If it's with contributory pensions schemes, so we're not talking of the accrued one, meaning that what you are earning, what Carlo was talking about. But if it's in terms of your salary on a monthly basis and pensions, typically it's straight through. The only thing is that there might be some technology issues with some MDAs or some universities. But if you're able to come as a sort of pressure group, I think we can resolve that. Also, send an email to info@penop.com.ng, info@penop.com.ng, and we'll try and take it up. We'll definitely respond to you. info@penop.com.ng.
Noted. Thank you very much, Mr. Agada. Thanks for allowing me to speak.
You're welcome. Thanks, Agada. That was well done. I've got Elens. Let me see if I can get the name. Elens. That's Elen G Man. You can unmute and ask your question. Go ahead.
Hi, Carlo. Thank you very much.
Let's keep it. If you don't mind, just keep it maybe to a minute or two.
Just 2 questions. One, I understand from the presentation that once you have an RSA account, you can't migrate to Micropensions.
Yeah, bomber.
My question is, I understand from the RSA account, the employer is supposed to remit on your behalf. What happens when you lose your job and you're no longer in the conventional employment and you have to go do your own thing, but you just want to also continue to save towards retirement? How do you go about that? That's one. The second one will be around the process of payment. Would I have to, make payments, then go to the PFA to go and confirm? Is there something like, say, like a USSD code or something I could, or maybe just from the app, I could actually pay with my card, not having to go to the PFA for any reason? Right.
Yeah, thanks. I'll start with the second question, Eli. So we're in 2022. You don't have to go to the bank, to the PFA, from the app or using your phone. You can make contributions, but that will now depend on the pension fund. So number one, you have to choose the pension fund. There are 20 of them. So I'm neutral. I'm not going to call anyone, but you know them, and some of them are on this call also, some of the pension funds. You determine the pension fund you want to engage, and they will tell you how to make contributions. You don't have to go to the bank. What we're working on is to come up with one solution whereby, with all of the 20 pension funds, you can, get one platform, and then it will go to that pension fund. So that is coming in the next phase. But for now, what you need to do first is determine the pension PFA that you want to engage, and then once you engage with them, they will let you know how you can contribute. That's one level. Second level, the second question
he was talking about. Ask the question again, Jim. And I was talking about if it's this scheme, how we can move it. But Jim, could you ask again, please?
Okay, the second question is, okay, you started off working for someone, an employer who remits pension on your behalf. Somewhere down the line, you're out of job and you start doing your own thing, but you still want to continue to save towards retirement.
Gotcha.
You already have an RSC account.
Yep.
But now, I heard you say you can't...
Great question. Great question, yeah.
Yeah, so you're correct. So if you, with an employer and either you started doing your own thing, and that's great. You're adding to the job creators in the country. So first thing you can do, in fact, I had this conversation just today. First thing you can do is to say you, after 4 months and there hasn't been any contributions, then you can take 25% of that. And perhaps you can use that as your startup capital or use that as part of your capital. So you can access that. That is sort of an unemployment benefit that the country has through this pension scheme. The second thing is, okay, you've realized that you want to be contributing. At the moment, you can move your CPS account, your RSA, to a micropension account at the moment. So this question is not new. There have been conversation around that, and this is what we're trying to forestall. So different people have tried to test the scheme, try to see how they can system, so what it's on some people's mind is, okay, I leave a job, I start a business, I change to micropension, immediately I'm able to take 40% out, because there's a 40% emergency fund. So we're trying to work on see how those that want to get in the system. So there's some product development coming, just in terms of how that can be. But as of today, it can't. But hopefully, soon we should be able to get a fix and a plug around that.
Great. And I wanted you just to comment on that 25% bulk sum again. Can you just clarify against for folks listening? If you contribute and you leave employment, you said you have access to 25% as quote unquote a startup, more or less. Could you just clarify that, please?
Yeah. So if you've been working normal employment and your employer has been contributing consistently 1 year to 2 years on how long you've worked, and for one reason or the other, maybe you leave your job, you go to school, you go for education, or you are laid off, the company folded up for one reason or the other. And after 4 months, there's been no contribution into your account. You can apply to your PFA to say, hey, I've been out of job, they don't even need to know what you need to use the money for, but 25% balance, is accessible to you if you've lost your job or if you're out of the job for 4 months. And like I said, you can use that as a startup capital. You can use that as a whole body, and able to come back on stream.
Gotcha. Just want to welcome Dauda Ahmed. He's from PenCom. Thanks for joining, sir. Welcome to the Spaces. If you want to unmute and say hello, we would love it.
Yes, hello everyone. Hello, especially thank you for having me.
You're very welcome.
Thank you very much. I wanted to just respond to the previous questioner.
Yeah.
Concerning his remittance, although it's a little bit out of micropensions, but I could assist him by giving him direction on how to go about solving his problem.
Okay, go for it.
The issue for a university staff, I think a few questions, whether it's a state government or, it's a state university or federal university. If it's a federal university, remittance was actually done, it's been done centrally. Previously, prior to most organizations jumping on the MPPIS platform, where the federal government, through the Accountant General, responsibility to do the remittances, it's been the responsibility of the commissioner to do the remittances.
Hello, Dauda.
Yes. Can you get me?
Yes, you cut off a bit, but go ahead, sir. Yeah.
Okay, what is usually done is that there are information that is submitted by pension desk officers of their respective universities or any federal government establishment. It's done twice in a year. So the individual should make sure its name is in that list that is normally sent to the commission. And a computation will be done, definitely, and then its remittance will be done, because that deduction has been done centrally by the federal government, Accountant General specifically, and place an account with the central bank, the contribution account, and that way it will be resolved. But if it is after they have joined the IPPIS platform, he should contact his pension desk officer. He should make a complaint to the IPPIS office, and they will sort out that particular issue. It's now outside the remit of the National Pension Commission. That is the way he can solve it. I'm surprised that taking 7 years.
That's a long time.
That's a very long time, and he's losing value.
Yeah, Tobe, you are listening. I think PenCom is giving you those two.
He registered with pension desk officer in his university. They are the ones who sort out these issues, and they submit if it has to do with the commission. They submit to the commission for it to be resolved, or if it has to do with the IPPIS, there's a liaison officer for IPPIS that they link up with and then submit these complaints.
Gotcha.
And that should be addressed. Yes.
Thank you so much for that further information. Thanks so much. All right, so let me just quickly add Chioma. She's been waiting. Chioma, I've got PenCom, I've got PenOp here. So let's have a question about a minute or two, and let's get a response from them. Chioma, kindly unmute and ask your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlo. Good evening, Mr. Gada and the PenCom man. Please, my question. Okay, Mr. Dauda, thank you. So the question, my first question is, if you work for a state government like I do, and we don't have any pension plans, because my office is against the pension plans, because we've had a lot of people complaining about pension in my office, the type of mega remittances that they get. So in my office, we decided we don't want. And the state government is also on our side for the first time. They don't want to also remit anything. So we're agreeing on this. Normally there's no agreement. So how do you get, when you want to do something private, because I know that if it's in Sena clients, you can do your own private retirement fund and still do the government one. Is it possible with this program? That is my first question. The second one borders on the 25% and the 40%. There was this, you can collect 25% when you're laid off work after 4 months. When do you collect 40%? I still have one more question, but I can't remember. But maybe as you answered it too, maybe it will call back. Thank you.
Great. So
okay, I don't know. Yes, I don't know if I can take the first question.
Please go ahead.
Yep.
Okay. So if a follow-up question would be, is it a private sector organization or a government organization?
She works for the state.
For the state government.
State government. Yes.
Oh, okay. Now, if the state government has not scheme by signing their own law, there is due. As an individual employed in a formal organization, you are expected to contribute using employer-employee contributions in a formal structure. Contribution, but since it is difficult because for you to join, it's targeted at particular those who are self-employed and as employment organizations employing less than 3. The category that micropension is targeting. So, yes, for a state government employee, if your state has not signed a law introducing the CPS in their own states, you cannot join the scheme. Okay. Because that's what your employer, yes.
But can she open a micro scheme? Because she's a state employer, so she can't join because the state says no. But she can open up a micro scheme, that's one. And she can also do like a private on her own if she wants to. But can she do the micro one she can open, right? Agada and Dauda, she can open that?
I've not had this kind of situation. I doubt, because she's currently under a formal employer.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying.
She can be, she's under a formal employer, and there are, if she's coming on what conditions will she be coming into the CPS, to the micropension? Yeah, because there are bases upon which you are supposed to come in, source of income and other things that we need to know.
Interesting.
So the issue of and formal employee now joining CPS is not allowed.
Very interesting. That is a good clarification to make. Yeah. Okuchi, did you want to add anything to that? I think that would give us a very... Just to make the point that this is the first time we have a regulator, and should we say the operator, together cordial. I mean, PenCom and PenOp have been together, working together. So I just want to commend those two, that congeniality that we are seeing from both of you. It should be copied by every regulator and operator in Nigeria to go a long way. So yeah, just want to let you guys know that.
Thank you.
Thank you. PenCom is very supportive, and especially with Micropension, they're very supportive. We want to see this grow.
Okay.
So let me just, say something. So of course, I'm an operator, but I want to also just, have a discussion. One of the reasons for Twitter Space, we hide behind our screen so we can have a discussion. So I'm saying, she works for a state government, but let's say she has a side hustle. She's selling clothes or she's selling food and she's making money. Mr. Dowd, that is not for her to state that source of income and say, okay, my state government has a different pension scheme, but I want to still engage on the micro pension as an individual.
That's a good question. That's a good question.
That's a good perspective. I want to remove my regulatory cap at this point and answer to a large extent. I think one should be able to do that. It's not something illegal that one is doing, but the only catch to it will be, as a civil servant, are you allowed to do a business other than agric?
That's according to the law. No.
You get the point.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. By the law, you can only do agric. I mean, that is so. If you are into some agri business and the like, of course, the law permits you to do that.
Wow.
So there is no reason why you cannot do something personal for yourself.
Wow. Let me ask a question, sir. Let me ask a question. Yeah. In America, they have individual retirement accounts. So you can have they have the 401k, like what the RSA. And I like this micro pension. I want to open an account, but why can't we have an individual that I can add money to in addition to the CPS? So I could say maybe you can cap it and say maybe 100,000 or whatever, but I can make an additional. Why can't we do that?
Okay, you can do one thing. There is a window for you to do voluntary contribution, aside from the mandatory. You could decide to top it up to a large extent because the source of income should be known. So whatever you're going to contribute, of course, will not be more than 1/3 of your salary as voluntary contribution. So you can do additional voluntary contribution on your own, over and above the mandatory 18%.
Gotcha. What attracts me is, as we've known now, is that it's compounded, but I can withdraw that 40%. So I can use this account as my piggy bank, in quote. I put the money in. If I don't spend the money, it rolls over next year. It's compounded automatically. That's what I'm looking at here.
Yeah, that exactly. You just described it. That's how it goes. That's why that contingent portion has been allowed. Because we recognize that because this is your personal savings. And there could be emergency situations that may arise that you may want to make recourse to your savings. So that 40%, you could access it. It's not necessary, but once the need arises, you can access it. But if you don't, it's all a cost for you because it's still being invested and returns on investment are flowing into the account. Gotcha.
Okay, another question for both of you, and I'm getting this question on my DM, and I just sort of summarizing them to say out. What about rent to own or property, or using my PFA balance as either a collateral or a deposit towards buying a home? People are asking, yes, the money is in bonds, but can they not get a letter and say, I have 10 million in my RSA, I'm going to retire, this money will be bonded and given to you, the developer. Use it as a down payment for my home or something like that. People are asking that.
Okay, I'll take it and then Oguchi can add some more.
Okay.
Now there is an aspect that the Commission is trying to come up with clear guidelines on how that can happen. That is accessing the RSA balance for you to make down payments for mortgage. That's a provision in the law that allows individuals to do. So in that sense, you can also use the RSA balance I think at the moment we're thinking of capping it at 25%.
Oh,
that you can use as collateral, as down payment, not collateral, as down payment for securing a mortgage.
Interesting.
So that is in the offing. Very soon it shall.
So to be clear, if I have money, I can withdraw 25% to what? That if it is passed, I mean, towards down payment of a home.
Yes. Now, what we're trying to do is not that the individual will draw down the cash himself and go and make a deposit. There are processes around it so that people do not divert
Correct.
for the intended purpose.
Correct.
But yes, you'll be allowed to have access to that 25%.
That's wonderful. If you guys do that, I will vote for both of you for president. That's just wonderful. Yeah.
No, that is not around the corner. Where all the work has been done, necessary stakeholders have been engaged, and I think we are almost ready just to get it on board.
Interesting.
Yes. Now, the second aspect that has to do with using it as collateral, I think Ogoche can speak more to that. We've had discussions, as the joint committee between PenOp and the commission, and we're looking at that possibility. So the ball is in the court of the operators to come up with something that would allow individuals to use their balances, some part of it, perhaps the contingent portion, to serve as some sort of collateral for securing facility.
Okay.
Thanks, Mr. Dauda. I mean, just to jump on Dauda said, before the end of this year, maybe the next quarter, the guidelines for that should be out. So you can use a portion of your RSA as a down payment for mortgage, and that's going to be a game changer. So we're looking forward to that. And like you said, you vote for us as president. Everybody here with the delegates, we don't have money to share. On the other bits, currently as of today, if you have a pensions account, so this is the CPS, some banks and some micro lenders and some payday lenders, they will ask you for your pension balance or your pension PIN before they give you loans. So banks are already lending based on pensions, not directly, but at least they know that, okay, there is something that you have there. And some banks enter into arrangement. Okay, you're going to retire in 3 years' time. Okay, I'll give you this. Let's find out a way for that money to come if you can't pay. So that already happens, even though it's not what the pension funds offer, but some financial institutions have become smart and they use this. So that's one level. Yeah. The second level, like you said, that you are correct. And like I said, PenCom is very accommodative. So within the system, the operators and the regulator were discussing that how can we make micro pension products more appealing. And when we go to the market, we go to market storms, one of the things people ask is, can I get a loan from this? So we've now gone back to say, okay, can we design something that enables people, maybe that contingent portion, to be able to get some facility, some loan, so that will come in the second phase, just like with the housing. We believe that will come maybe in the next quarter or so. So that is in the off. Another reason for you to jump on the pension train.
That's good news, man. If you guys can just even do housing, I mean, the multiplier effect to affordable homes, to jobs, to the GDP, to income, I mean, it's immense. If you guys can get that done, like you say, it's going to be very, very soon. That is so big, so game changing. It's unbelievable. I have to bring you back to talk about this specifically. When it is out, please, I'm making a date, PenOp and PenCom, please come back. Let's talk about when it is out. We'll lay it all out for people to understand the impact of this to Nigeria. My last question before I'm going to ask Ali Mohammed to speak. My last question. A lot of Nigerians are leaving the country, Japan or whatever, they're leaving the country. Is there any process? I know there's a process for cross-border remittances and all, but did PenCom envisage, they did not, I presume, this level of emigration of young people outside Nigeria? Is there anything that we can say, okay, if I'm leaving, I can take it, but if I'm returning back to Nigeria, I have worked for 20 years in the US, I want to come back to Nigeria, I have my 401k. Is there a way we can handshake between RSA going out and 401k coming in?
I agree with you. We actually are the committee for other issues concerning transfer of pensions. As protocol that allows transfer of pensions. I can see what are the modalities we can work out. Issue foreign currency exchange and things that. So yes, there is something we're working within the commission to ensure that happen. But at the moment, we are yet to come. We've been working extensively. So many questions to. It's something else that we've considered for cross-border, just to allow diaspora to be able to even participate.
Yeah.
For example, and for those who are now coming back, for example, again, if they want to come back with their savings, we should find a way to see how that can be accommodated. So
Excellent.
That's something I take it as a strong feedback. I will talk to the relevant department that is looking at that and see how soon we can come up with some guideline on that.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful. Yeah. So, so Gush, do you want to add anything?
You're not thinking of Jack buying, Carlo. I hope you're not thinking of Jack buying.
I'm here. We're in God's own. We're in, So I mean, it's a global village, isn't it? It's a global village, and if you look at it, I mean, this is remittances, right? If a Nigerian earning dollars can send official remittance 1% dollars to a PFA in Nigeria, and the PFA can open up a dollar fund, just like banks have dollar funds. PFAs can open up a dollar or pound fund, and I send it back, and the PFA invests in those Nigerian banks or Nigerian property folks that are accepting foreign currency. It's also a way, or just convert it to Naira and invest, but allowing me to invest from the US back to Nigeria, it's going to be huge. Together with this building society you guys are trying to do, that's going to be massive. As a matter of fact, if you guys get that done, I see GDP in Nigeria going up minimum 25%. Minimum. If you guys get that housing done, minimum. It's a game changer. If 13 trillion, even if you can say 1%, it's 1.3 trillion. If 1.3 trillion is going towards homes, each home is a minimum of 8 folks employed. Doors, windows, roofs, nails, cement, water, food for the construction folks, architects, lawyers, doctors, government revenue, payee. Oh my God. But we'll bring you guys back specifically for that, to talk about that. I have Mohammed. Thanks for waiting. Mohammed, if you can go ahead and speak. I don't know if you're still there. Ali Mohammed, go for it, sir. Unmute and ask a question. Ali? So I think Ali must be having issues. So, believe it or not, we spent an hour, believe it or not. So it's too short. I normally keep these things open for 2 hours. So, hello? Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. So I normally keep these things open for 2 hours just so people can ask a lot of questions, a lot of DMs and all that. We normally try to do this maybe in the evenings or in the mornings, but we have to definitely bring you back in. I'm not looking at the DMs for now. They're just a lot and it's hard to read them, also moderating. But I think we've had some very, very good news. We've also seen very, very good operations currently of the Nigerian pension scheme. I think it's the number one success story since democracy came to Nigeria. And it's just getting better and better with what I'm hearing. So I again commend you, PenCom. I again commend PenOp for the strides you folks have taken. And I'm just going to give you guys the floor. If you guys have any closing remarks, let me just make this point again. I had Micropensions. You've explained it to me better. I want to open a Micropension account now hearing this. But I know you are targeting the self-employed, the gig workers, those young folks. You are targeting the butcher, the guys doing a job in the market, the daily savings. That's the target because those guys are not covered. You told us about 9 million are covered. I think the Nigerian working population is about 54 million or so. So we have a big gap there. And this will basically bring them in. But we've got to explain it the way you've explained it to me now. I'm a convert, If anyone hears that they can contribute 100 Naira, they can take out 40 Naira anytime they want to. What Naira can come out. And that money they've contributed would earn them interest. They don't touch it. The money is compounded. They don't have to go to bank. It is safe. That money they don't pay tax on that money. They don't pay COT on that money. If they hear it this way, I think it's just going to be a big winner. And we have also agents. I know there are lots of folks. I know Awaba also that is doing all this grassroots sensitization of Nigerian public. Say, listen, you can have a pension. It's not an old quote-unquote account. It's an account you open when you are young. Pensions are not for old people. It's for young people. maybe we should change the name from pensions maybe to tax deferred account or something. But I'll let you guys keep closing remarks and then we'll just see what we can do. Thank you so much.
Can I give it a go?
Yeah, go for it, sir.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I think you've said it all. You've described what the micro pension plan is all about and who is targeted at. I see it as a personal pension plan. It's a complementary plan, aside from the savings that you normally do for short term, for certain things that you want to address. But then, of course, you also have to plan for your future. And it's been made so easy and so transparent that I don't see how any person will not want to do that. When you have some inflow that you want to just drop, you can just drop it and you'll be surprised and amazed at how it's going to grow. And gradually, that is how you build your savings towards when you are able to work. I think on that note, I encourage our listeners, those who are in the self-employed, give it a try and see. The pension arrangement is one of the success stories, as Mr. Ajah has mentioned, and truly it is. And it's transparent because you can see whatever is happening at your fingertips. We leverage on technology. People can check whatever they need to check and be sure that whatever they are saving is safe. And if you have issues, you can always refer to the National Pension Commission and we take it on a personal basis. So on that note, I will thank you for giving us the audience and encourage you to open a micro pension account. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dauda Ahmed. Thank you so much. So you've got the floor, sir. Go for it.
Thank you, Mr. Dauda. I also just want to thank you, Kalu, for the work you do on educating people. So continue to spread the gospel. And I just want to thank everyone for coming, spending an hour here. But we hope you've taken enough for you to be able to make decisions, open a micropensions account. Like Mr. Dauda has said, it's safe, it's transparent, and it's something that not only help you now, but also in the future. Because all these things you can enjoy in terms of loan, housing, it's going to come in the not too distant future. So jump on it. You can go to our website, www.penop.com.ng. You can see any of the pension funds and pick anyone and start engaging them. You can also check some of the agents. I see one of them here. It's the only one with a verified Twitter handle. You can also engage them. So just get a micro pension account. What are you waiting for? That's what we ask. What are you waiting for?
Excellent.
Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you much. And remember, the invitation it's open. Once we have that housing attachment to pensions, please, I'd like to have both of you come back to us to explain it like you've done eloquently today to listeners. And we'll, on our own parts, try to maybe do more sensitization on what micro pensions is and why it is exceptionally useful. So thank you so much, guys, for coming. Thanks, guys, for hanging in here with us for an hour. This is just the introduction part. We're just testing the mic. We will try to come back and talk more in depth on this. So all that remains is for me to just wish everyone a very, very good evening, wherever you are, and do stay safe and take care of yourselves. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Reports that it presents